Okay, cool.
All right. Well, here we are with a Project Voice pre-event interview. I am with Joaquin Beltran from Speak Up America. And Joaquin, we're grateful to have you be involved with our event, Project Voice, which is Monday, January 13th through Friday, January 17th in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we're grateful for the work that you do outside of being involved with our event. For those that may not know who you are, could you please introduce yourself and a bit about maybe your political background, because that's a big part of what you're doing with Speak Up America and what inspires a bit of it. So we just like to hear about you and what keeps you busy during the day.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Ian, for having me on your program. I'm really looking forward to Project Voice in January. And so my background is a bit mixed, but a large part of it is politics. So I worked for Obama in 2008 as a volunteer recruiter in the state of Nevada. And it was a lot of work, but I loved it. And I kept being involved in activism and politics and making a difference for about 5 to 7 years after that, pretty actively in advocacy and in higher education and workforce development. And along the way, I just saw so many challenges with people wanting to be involved, wanting to make a difference, and there being so many challenges for them to do so. So I got a little frustrated being in politics, and I just saw how long it took and how many layers of politics are involved in trying to make a difference. And so I saw tech companies making a difference through software. And that's the thing about either, politics or technology. If you actually create change, it's at scale, right? And you could improve the lives of so many different people. And so, I started building software projects with that idea. And eventually, I came across Alexa, and it just clicked for me. The idea of making it easier, all by voice, for people to make a difference in their communities and their government.
And so what's the attraction to Project Voice? Like, did Bradley reach out to you for another one of his Voice First events? Were you at the Alexa conference last year? Have you been plugged into this community because of your brother for some time? Like, how did we get where we're at today?
Yeah, so funny enough, I think I saw something about Project Voice last year. I saw the founder of Atari had some workshop there last year, and I thought, oh, that looks cool. Maybe I should go, but I didn't end up going. Instead, I think I was maybe building, or maybe I think I was in the process of building Speak Up America, and anyways, I launched it. I made this video where I made myself a pour over coffee while I'm asking Alexa, Alexa, open Speak Up America. And then I get a phone call that connects me to my elected representative. And I just, finish my cup of coffee at the end of the video. We got, just on Twitter alone, over 50,000 views on that video.
Wow.
And so, since then, I received a message from Bradley, who had questions about Speak Up America, and then that's when he brought me into Project Voice to share Speak Up America with a larger audience.
I do think what Speak Up America is doing already is a really cool use of voice devices and the voice platforms. I do wonder, where does it go from here? Like, you're going to face lots of hurdles, and your timelines won't be met, and budgets will be exceeded, and you'll face all kinds of challenges. But if you make it through the long haul, and we look at 5 years from now, right? The 2020 election, or we look at or 2024 election, right? You have all that time to like kind of prepare for that, or even 2022 or 2026, as you know, we have these election cycles every couple of years. When you think through the maturity of Speak Up America, what type of things are you intending? What's the ambition for this tech?
So, so you bring up elections, right? And so, with my experience in making a difference in politics through activism, what you find is that elections are important, but democracy happens every day, right? So, the important work being done is people making sure that their voices are heard on the issues that matter to them on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, right? And so, so right now, for example, climate change is a huge issue, right? It's a huge problem that a lot of communities, a lot of countries are experiencing right now and projected to experience in a larger way. And so right now we have a campaign on climate change on Speak Up America. So it helps people connect with their representatives. They receive a script as well to help them on the call because, you know, climate change, we don't know if the next president is going to create policies that are favorable for climate change or not, right? But what we do know is that people have power right now, right? And they need to be empowered in order to exercise that power and have it be represented in our democracy.
When you think through democracy being an everyday thing, and you think through shortcuts like leveraging a voice device instead of this really long manual process, do you believe that the initiatives that are partisan will be more successful than the initiatives that are bipartisan because of the intensity by which people run after things when they're kind of gathered in a tribalistic nature? And have you already seen that play out with Speak Up America?
It's a really good question. I think what you're touching on is kind of like what happens on Twitter, right? Twitter is a great example of tribalism, right? You know, and your question about, you know, bipartisan type of initiatives, right? You know, are they going to have not as much support from people? So, you know, you'd expect that the bipartisan stuff would, right? And so, so there's a couple things going on. One of them is that our current tools, like Twitter, do not allow for a way for people to exercise the power that they have in a way that is directly connected and related to the representatives, right? So on Twitter, for example, if I, you know, if I'm contacting my congressperson, right? So can thousands of other people from outside my district, right? So can probably millions of people from outside the country, right? So the representative is receiving all these messages and they're like, well, I don't know what this means, right? I don't know how many of these are real people. How many of them are bots, right? There's all these problems there, right? So what we are doing is making sure that when you're trying to make your voice heard, that you're being connected straight to the representative that represents you. And so why is that important? Because you either voted them in or had the ability to vote them out, right? Or to vote them in again, right? And that, what is that? That's accountability, right? And so that's, you know, I think, you know, the tribalism that happens on Twitter, you know, there are some issues where, you know, some tribes are right and some tribes are wrong. but also what happens when that kind of state happens is people stop thinking. They just choose a side, and they're just, whatever that side is, it's like, there's the question of like, what is that side? And then that side morphs, right? And so, what I would like to promote with Speak Up America is empowerment and the ability for people to directly exercise their power, and to have people look at the issues directly, right? And ask themselves, is this something that they want to support or not? Because there's a lot of parts to making a difference, and some of those parts are really looking at those issues, right, and really understanding them. And so right now we are focused on helping them express the stance on those issues.
That makes sense. I think as we wrap up our conversation, let me ask you this. All these folks are going to gather for this week, right? We're all going to be at Project Voice in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Monday, January 13th through Friday, January 17th. You have this whole collection, thousands of people involved in voice. If you could have everybody's attention and influence them either for something with just the voice industry or with Speak Up America, like, what's the one thing that you'd want to tell everybody in the voice industry right now if you had their ear?
Well, I think, first of all, I'd encourage everyone to enable Speak Up America on their Alexa devices. Tell them that, they could also use it on their phone, if they don't have an Alexa device, just through the Alexa app. I'd encourage them to use the campaign we have on there right now, which is focused on climate change. So you say, Alexa, open Speak Up America for climate change. They'll receive a text message with a script with information to help them on the call. And of course, the call that connects them to their elected representatives. And I think the biggest thing I'd like to share with everyone is to really dig deep, into the issues, into these ideas floating around, to ask questions, right? Ask questions about, where, sorry, I got a notification on there. Ask questions about, where this information that they're receiving is coming from, right? Ask questions about maybe their own assumptions, right? Why they believe the things they do, right? And, in that, process of asking those questions, maybe they'll solidify what they believe, or maybe they'll reevaluate what they believe, But I think there are a lot of challenges and opportunities in the coming future. And if we are able to really ask better questions, and look at issues in an exploratory way, then we can solve the big problems that are up ahead.
I think it's really.
I have a few dogs barking in the background.
So I think that's very fitting. And so let's end on this note.
Yeah.
Asking questions is like a dog barking. Mm-hmm. It's hard to ignore somebody, and it's impossible to ignore an entire community that keeps asking the same questions, right? You can pretend the dog's not there, but the dog is barking. And the thing for us is that in our democracy, all of us can use our bark. And if we use our bark collectively, we cannot be ignored. And it's an organization like Speak Up America that empowers people to be heard. So that the people that actually are empowered because we put them there and we can choose to remove them, that they will hear us as we yap about what is meaningful and powerful to us. So I think it's actually nice that the dogs were barking because it kind of
That
brought
was great. That was great. I love animals.
Yeah.
And obviously they're supporting the message
That's right.
that we're talking about right now. So that's really
right.
cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Joaquin, for joining me. We appreciate your time.
For having me, Ian.
We're really looking forward to seeing you at Project Voice. And I anticipate a lot of people will be excited about what you're doing at Speak of America, especially those that have no idea and those that already know about it. Make sure you download the app, let your voice be heard. And remember, this is a tool that you can use for the things that are meaningful to you. And so that is our encouragement. And so Joaquin, again, we thank you for your time, and we're glad that you joined us for this brief
look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much.